Bill
Okay.
Thompson for Outside Insiders.
Yes, outside.
Gerard.
You're the South Bank correspondent for the ABC. aren't you?
I am
Yeah,
on
but
occasion.
But you don't get paid.
I do not get paid.
No, you
and,
should. You should get paid.
And I love it because
Yeah.
I can be fearless and dispassionate about things. I can do and
Yes.
say what I please. I thought it was a pretty balanced program today, mate. You got in a lot of good points, but I thought the whole thing was...
Oh, it was a lively program and people disagreed with one another, which is what debate should be like.
I was hoping to chat with Matthias outside here, but of course he was in a different time zone this morning.
Yes.
Mate, I came down here a couple of weeks ago because I saw that Bill Shorten was in the studio in ABC 774 radio studio, and when I arrived here, the Z car was parked right there, and I went over to the window and I said to the driver, mate, my name is Bill Thompson, I come down and talk to interesting people. I'd like to talk to Bill on his way out. So a minute later, the car took off down the street and around the corner, and I chased it down the street with my GoPro going, and I caught Bill's car leaving the rear door loading bay. Do you think I'm that scary a person that Bill Shorten should run away from me?
Next time I see Bill, I'll tell him to have a chat to you. I think it would increase his votes if he had a chat to you, and I would recommend it. It's pretty
Thank
good.
you very much for that,
that.
unsolicited testimonial. Mate, Barry was talking about removing tax concessions. The stats suggest that the top 9% of income earners in Australia are already paying about 50% of income tax revenue, and that's not including their private company and their payroll tax obligations. But of course, the bottom 60% of income earners are paying bugger all or nothing, but they seem to be the people that whinge all the time.
Well, overwhelmingly in this country, we have a very egalitarian tax system, if you call it that, if you like to call it that. You're correct. Overwhelmingly, the top income earners in Australia are carrying the great bulk of income tax obligations, and if you push them any harder, it's not going to be good for the economy. We have very high levels of taxation for higher income earners, and we just should accept that. And people who are on low incomes pay very little income tax and not much other tax either. So I think the way it is at the moment, it works, but I wouldn't want to be pushing more and more pressure on high income earners. Also, company tax in this country is very high compared with comparable countries, even countries like Britain.
Mate, I did a submission to the Senate inquiry into corporate tax avoidance, and I made reference to the fact that 30 years ago the tax office where I worked used to publish an annual honours list of audit results, and it would show the person's name and their omitted tax and their penalties, and they stopped it 30 years ago. Well, in December, the tax office produced a list of major corporations' tax figures, and some of them weren't paying anything. And Gina Reinhardt was the person whose entity had the greatest corporate tax.
Gina Reinhardt's private company paid a very high level of corporate tax.
Yeah.
So it just shows a lot of the mythologies about Reinhardt and other leading entrepreneurs in this country are quite false. And some of the private companies paid a lot of tax. Now others who didn't may have had good write-offs and good reasons not to pay tax in 1 year. This is not often understood. Now I've got to get to my taxi, who's a small businessman,
mate,
and I can't hold him up.
Lovely talking with you.
See
Thanks,
you in
Gerard.
about 22nd of March.
Good on you, mate. Okay. Great cigars in history, Churchill's, Hockeys and Lewinsky's, mate.
How'd you go with my colleagues Curé and Tao?
They were in too much of a rush. This is my fiscal envelope, by the way. There's nothing in it, mate.